backing the camera up a little bit here. Come on, girl. Come on, girl. This is Daisy. She likes to flee you. So she'll get in under my chin sometimes and start like.
Now she just wants to lick.
What you doing, girl?
She's our new adopted child.
Yeah.
She adopted us.
What you doing? She started hanging out in the yard one day, and at first she ran away whenever we tried to go out to her, and then like the next day she was laying in the sun, and I started walking out to her, and her tail was wagging, but you could tell she was ready to bolt. So I just sort of laid down on the ground and just gradually crawled my way over to her and reached out. And she's super gentle.
Yeah, we turned her in at the shelter, and she wasn't claimed, so
we had her chipped and officially adopted her.
Yep.
And nobody's been looking for her at all. She's a total sweetheart. I figure she's had puppies, you can tell. And I figure that she may have been too nice to be a hunting dog, and somebody just ditched her. She's a total sweetheart. But when she barks, it's like, whoa. She's got this real deep voice, and she doesn't do it very often, even when people are coming into the property or anything. But when she does do it, it sounds intimidating as hell, but I don't think she would ever hurt anybody. She's a total sweetheart. Even when she tries to bite at you, she's just like very gently grabs. You say hi to everybody, Daisy?
All right.
Gotta go.
You gotta go. It's like, I've got to where I'll do squats while holding her.
Yeah, she uses her as like the dead weight.
I call them my Daisy squats.
Daisy squats. Daisy lifts.
She's about 45 pounds right now. Ain't she?
Big sweetheart hat here. And once more, for those of you joining, we're working on the video thing. It's a little bit grainy. I'm just using the laptop camera right now. So in the future, we'll get some better video and maybe even do like a backdrop on a green screen of the road. I'd like to have the Tail of Dragon, Deals Gap Road in the background for our backdrop. All right, so.
I just realized I'm wearing a black shirt against a black backdrop.
Well, it's got enough white hairs on it, it almost shows up.
Yeah, my bad.
All right, so we'll start the feed now. I want to say thanks, first of all, to all you guys that support us on our Patreon. We're going to publish this publicly, so those of you seeing this publicly, this was a live feed for our Patreon members. We're going to start doing these on Tuesday nights and just do like a Q&A for like 30 minutes or something, kind of touch base with folks. So welcome to the live feed. I'm Daryl Cannon, Killboy, and this is my wife, Lori, Killgirl. And we asked people to submit some questions in the Patreon post, and they did, and had more questions than I expected, and there's some good stuff in there. Of course, some of them are questions that people frequently ask, so it's good. We'll go ahead and, touch base on some of those, and then in the future we'll maybe have better content ready that's things we want to discuss without necessarily requiring questions, but we'll always take some questions to answer. And our dogs are in the background making all kinds of racket. So the first question we got, what's the craziest vehicle you've seen on the Dragon and the favorite vehicle that we've seen? What's the craziest? Do you have something in mind? Because I got a couple in mind.
Well, each one will probably be different.
What do you mean? Each of us?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to agree. I'm not saying that. What would you say?
I can't pull a wildest one.
Okay, so while you're thinking, or do you want to?
You go ahead with your wildest one.
So to me, I don't know what it is, why this is so fascinating to me, and why somebody hasn't. I've never seen this before. And in all the years I've been out there, this is something that happened recently, that was just recently brought out, that I saw on the Dragon, and it just, for some reason, it just got me. And it was this damn jet ski motorcycle. I can't believe nobody's done that. Maybe they have, and I just haven't seen it. but it just really caught me. And for whatever reason, the jet ski motorcycle just cracks me up. Now the guy with him, there's friend that's got the lawnmower trike is really cool too. But going back a few years, probably one of the vehicles that really stood out to me is this. There's this old dude that was retired and he liked to tinker, and he took a Honda Valkyrie and he put 2 wheels on the front and made it into a reverse trike, and then he put 2 more wheels in front of those and made it into a reverse. What is that? Pentike? I don't know. It had 5 freaking wheels on it, and 4 of them were in the front. It was the weirdest shit I've ever seen. You can go back in my highlights and find this. And his handlebars would turn all 4 wheels, and he had a headlight mounted kind of in the middle of that big structure that he built out on the front of it that would turn as well. And then after a few months, he got tired of that, and he put it back to a regular front single wheel and put a short rear axle on the back, and put 2 go-kart tires in the back. And he had a regular trike, but it was really narrow. And this old dude, man, he would come up there and just drift and go past us. He would be like, "Is there any cops?" And we'd be like, "No." He's like a 70-year-old guy. He's like, "Wah!" And he'd kick this thing out and just drifted around the corners. It was so fascinating. So as far as motorcycle type stuff goes, the jet ski thing, for whatever reason, it just fascinates me because it just jumps out at you when you see it going down the road. And then the 5-wheel reverse contraption is probably my number 2. And then that lawnmower reverse trike. But what about cars and stuff that people have built? Is there anything, we got the usual sandrail buggies and stuff like that are kind of weird, but I can't think of anything that was homemade. I know there has been some homemade cars. And of course, that kid brought that outlaw sprint car out there recently. I remember there was one guy that had this homemade, really short car that he had to like cram his feet into. It was like some weird car that he had made. I don't even remember how long ago that was. And then favorite vehicle.
I have a favorite experience of, I guess, the vehicle played a big part of it, but it was just kind of the overall experience. It's been about 10 years ago. Some tornadoes had come through down by the lakes, and we actually have footage of us driving through our Mini Cooper in this aftermath.
Trees fell down and everything.
Yeah, so I had stopped during the day a few days later to kind of check that out and take some little pictures. And there was a lady Blount County cop there that I was having a conversation with. We were at the Foothills boat dock, and I'm standing facing the road, and she's got her back to the road. Cars are going by, and all of a sudden I see something come into my view that, I'd only ever seen this car in videos or photos online.
I don't even know what she's talking about here. I should know this story, and I don't know what she's about to say. I just want to point that out.
That, whatever we were talking about, I stopped, just deadpan mid-sentence. I think my mouth dropped to the ground, and I'm just...
What did you see? We all want to know.
And the lady, she didn't know how to react, I guess. So she kind of goes, puts her hand down like this and turns around to see what I'm looking at that she's about to see. And I see the most beautiful Bugatti Veyron. It is like, and then there's another. And there was the 458 Italia Ferrari with them and another car. And I'm sitting there. And then she sees it's cars and she goes, kind of inquires why did that car get that reaction? And I think I muttered out something about, there's like $5 million rolling down the road right there.
So I know what she's talking about now, and I forgot about her first time seeing that.
And at the time, that was like my favorite supercar.
And that was a Bugatti Veyron SS. So that was the version that's all carbon with the orange pin or striping around the bottom. And then there was also the other Bugatti Veyron was a Vitesse, or however it's pronounced, but it was the convertible version, or targa top version, which is also very rare. And then there was a Ferrari 458. It was a regular, not an Italia or a Speciale, but there's a Ferrari 458, which just looked like a Toyota Camry compared to those two. It had nobody was paying attention to Ferrari.
No love for the Ferrari.
But it turns out that the two Bugattis were being brought up by the guy that was in charge of like Bugatti USA sales, and this person that was driving the Ferrari was a local well-off individual that was interested in getting a Bugatti. and he was bringing him out here to let him test drive them. So we got some shots of those going through and everything. And my friend followed them back out. Zach Goins, he probably in here somewhere. Hey, Zach. I remember one of the things that always stuck with me was that he said that when he was behind those cars, when they would get on the gas, when he was behind them on the gas, and they would get on the gas, like going up the straights, if all of a sudden it felt like he was driving through a sauna. It's like all the heat that they would produce when they took off was crazy. And those cars have like 10 radiators in them. So yeah, favorite vehicles. Yeah, that was one of them. All the Pagani Huayras that came up at the end of last year. That was really impressive to see, whatever it was, 17 Paganis, coming through. Those were really impressive. So moving on, Logan Lowe asked, did you ever think your influence in this area would be as big as it is when you first started? I still can't believe how much influence we have, and it's humbling and it's scary. I respect it a lot. I'm very careful about the things that we do, and I hate that I kind of have to be that way. Like, we can't glamorize people acting a certain way out there because we know that it can influence what other people do. So, we have to be careful about posting photos of people doing things that would cause problems if everybody did it, So on the highlights, we don't show people like coming down the road, both hands up off the handlebars or off the steering wheel. That's not going to get you on the highlights. Other activities like that we have to think about. But yeah, it's been really flattering, the notoriety that we've gotten, and people who know about us all over the world, not just locally, but everywhere else. It's been really cool. So do you have anything to add to that, as far as the influence and everything aspect of it?
Still have a hard time wrapping my mind around it.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, and really thankful for having that influence, and we respect that, and we'll always keep that in mind with everything that we do. We'll never take that for granted, and I hope you can appreciate that. We share a little bit more with you guys on the Patreon page as far as the craziness and stuff, because we feel like this is sort of a more tight-knit community that's more common sense, and you have to be careful what you share with the whole rest of the world. So you guys get to see a little bit more, you guys that are members and things like that. And but just be sensible out there. We know you will, and we'll keep doing what we do with that in mind. Thank you, Brett Mellon. Appreciate your consistent approach to the area, ambassador for the road. Thank you. I appreciate that. When was the first time you discovered the road? That's a pretty cool story. I mean, I was living in Eastern North Carolina, so I was over on the other side of Raleigh, and me and some other buddies that rode motorcycles, sport bikes, I'd kind of just been into it for a couple of years. We were planning a trip to come to the mountains and ride the Blue Ridge Parkway, and started doing some research, and I found out about this Deals Gap place, and I kind of talked them into coming to it. They weren't really interested in going to it, really. They were like, no, we just want to ride around Blue Ridge Parkway. We were going to be in Waynesville, is where the hotel was. And so we dedicated one day to going out to Deals Gap and checking this road out that I had read about, but they really didn't know much about. And I didn't know much about either. And it turned out to be the best part of the trip. Everybody agreed that was awesome. I actually have video. I had a little handheld camera mounted on my tank, and it's hilarious. I need to convert it. It's like whatever kind of tape it was, mini DV or whatever. I need to convert it to digital and put that somewhere so we can watch this, because it's hilarious. I remember specifically, I go through Parsons Branch turn, long constant radius turn, and I made it like 8 turns. I was so terrible, I was just like going around that turn. I had full leathers and everything. I loved leaning, but I really wasn't good, and I didn't know the road. So that was when I first learned about it. And then I had the opportunity to kind of move back with my family to Middle Tennessee, which put me about 2 hours away. I grew up in Sparta, Cookeville, Tennessee, so this side of Nashville. And then I started coming to the road about every other weekend, and then I fell into the photography thing, and that's a whole nother story that drags on forever. But that's how I first discovered the road. Now, Lori, she grew up in Robbinsville. She's from here, and that road has always been a part of her life. They kind of traveled that road by necessity, and it wasn't something that was really looked upon as a good thing. It was something that was kind of annoying that they had to do to get from Robbinsville to Tennessee and stuff, right?
Yeah, especially when I was a very car sick prone child.
So you would get car sick, and then you say you would sleep sometimes on the whole thing just to avoid the nausea and everything. Yeah, so
that was the rough part. Loved going to the zoo, just didn't like the trip getting there so much.
Yeah, so you didn't have appreciation for curvy roads until something clicked when you got the motor, you got the bug for the motorcycle and everything, and all of a sudden that road that you didn't care for, it became the road that you loved.
Sport driving and riding.
Yeah. And then a couple of incidents happened that really messed with her, enjoyment mentally. And we'll talk about that sometime in another episode. Part of her blog series is going to get to that. She's building up to this, situation that she's in now mentally, the therapy that she still has to go to every week. We talk about the physical aspect of, wrecks and things like that, but we don't really talk much about the mental. Are they okay? Or are they hurt? And so we think about that, but we don't really think much about how it's mentally messing with them for the rest of their lives. So moving on, did you live in the area before you started taking pictures here? So I think we kind of answered that with that last question. No, I did not. Now to quickly run down how I ended up in this area. I was coming out here every other weekend, taking photos for like 2 years just for fun. And then I started working with Ron and Nancy, who also started up a business about the same time I went commercial with the photography. And they said, hey, why don't you just move into this building that we've got that's got a livable space? And that's how I ended up moving over here, was living in their space for a while. And then Lori came along and shacked up with me because I broke a collarbone and I needed somebody to help.
And then the opposite ankle.
Yeah, and my ankle was jacked up. Yeah, it's like sprained or slightly fractured. And, I was totally stranded at that point, obviously. Yeah, right. So she came over and started taking care of me, and we were kind of dating anyway at that point. So
I just never left.
She just never left. It's like a stray dog. All right. So
like Daisy.
What's your favorite restaurants in the area? That's a good one, because that really depends on what you've had recently. Like if I've had Mexican, I don't want it again for a few more nights. But the go-to restaurant in our area is probably the damn Mexican restaurant. It's really, to me, consistent, good food. But some people have said the quality of what they order has gone down somewhat over the years. So it may be a little hit or miss depending on what you order. I typically just get the chicken burritos and rice and beans, chips and dip. She gets the chicken soup, which is really good. But there's not really any sort of hidden gems. T-Dubs, the little, what would you call that?
Barbecue. The
little barbecue shack hut in the middle of town is kind of new and unknown, and they put a lot of heart into what they cook, but they have weird hours. They kind of close early and stuff like that right now, so they're not real reliable. Poco Lodge has been really good, but it's gotten very successful, and so sometimes we have difficulty getting in there because of the promotional work that I've done for them. But I'm happy for them. That's great. And then Fontana Village has been really good food at their grill.
The Wildwood Grill?
Wildwood Grill out there in the middle.
The bistro's not even.
Bistro's good, but the Wildwood Grill's been awesome, yeah.
The Italian.
The new Italian restaurant.
Cafe de
Olla.
Sorry, I can never say
Cafe de Olla, the new Italian restaurant in the far southern end of town. So if you want to check out the Italian restaurant, it's run by the same people that do the Mexican restaurant. Put a lot of heart into their food, and it's good Italian food, but it's a real small place. It's on the right, little building down in below the road, almost back in the back of the area, parking lot, kind of close to the trees. So it doesn't look like much, but it's really good Italian food. Those are some of the good places but there's a lot of good restaurants. I'm not dissing any restaurant in here. Don't take this the wrong way if you work or own one of those restaurants. We love y'all, all y'all. Lynn's Place is great.
There's seafood the
Hub, Greg's Place in town on the northern end of town. very good.
Papa Nana's had that banging meatloaf that you like.
And she made one last night that was right there with it. We'll start eating our dinner while we're doing these, and that'll make it more interesting for you. All right, so favorite dragon memory. Man, that's a tough one. Yeah, because there's been so many, good times out there. While you think of that one, I'm going to go into the time that I picked up a hitchhiker. I mean, he wasn't even hitchhiking. This guy was just a transient, whatever. He was walking across the state.
Oh, this is going with a different way than I thought.
What was you thinking? Am I forgetting something?
That wouldn't be a favorite. That would be a wild memory.
Oh, okay. But yeah, this guy, he was starting into the dragon at sunset, and he didn't know what he was getting into. And I was like, dude, you do not want to walk through this thing right now because it's going to take you hours, and it's going to be dark, and there's animals. So I picked this guy up, and I was just giving him a ride to get him through the dragon. He started telling me a story. He's an older guy, and he was trying to get back to South Carolina, I think it was, and he was going via Fontana Lake because he wanted to see. He hadn't seen that since he was a kid. He just had fond memories of it. He wanted to see Fontana Lake one last time before he got to where he was going to sort of settle down and finish his life. He knew he wasn't going to, do much more with his life. And so I took him to the dragon in the S2000. He loved that. And we didn't really kill it or anything. I didn't want him to get sick or anything. But now I took him on over, and I took him to Fontana Dam. And we went to the top of Fontana Dam to that overlook, and he looked down on the dam and everything. And the sun was setting right then. And he got pretty emotional. And it was really, really cool moment for me to be able to do that. I wasn't rushing. I didn't have much to do, and it meant a lot to him, meant the world to him. And so to just be able to be a part of that, that was one of my fondest memories. But there's so many good memories, helping people out, taking care of the place, a lot of good stuff. Your memories are probably learning to ride that you're working on in your blog series, and learning how to work a motorcycle in the parking lot and things like that. She learned to ride on the dragon, after hours and stuff like that. She wasn't up there on the busy Saturdays.
Ooh, I was working.
Yeah, she was working at the Dills Gap Motorcycle Resort when we met. So she was doing it like after hours from the resort. Any other memories?
Yeah, it's like that. Yours is a hard one to follow up.
I'm not trying to outdo you here.
Oh, yeah. From learning to ride up there to meeting people, doing cookouts in the parking lot off the tailgate of our truck.
Yeah.
The time we set up a TV at the overlook.
Oh, yeah.
And played video games and had a cookout.
Was it Mortal Kombat?
Something.
I think it was Mortal Kombat. I played Mortal Kombat on the TV at the overlook and got pictures of it and posted them on social media or something. I was like, this has got to be the first time anybody's ever played a video game at the overlook, especially Mortal Kombat. So it's like when Mortal Kombat first came out for like the PlayStation or Xbox or something. Yeah, that's right. Crazy stuff. We used to go up there a lot on Saturday nights and just sort of hang out, and don't really do that as much anymore. And I kind of miss that because we kind of have to rush home and get all the photos online. And sometimes that's why they're not online quickly the next day, is because we are enjoying the road. And I hope you guys understand that and will be patient with us when we don't get the photos online as quick as the other guys, because we're not rushing home, necessarily to make a buck. What motorcycle have you had the most fun on riding the dragon? I know the answer to this already. I hope you have the same answer. I bet you do. What was your favorite motorcycle, whether we owned it or not?
You go first.
The Husqvarna 450 SMR Super Motard. That is and we have a 510 too. I hate that they were reliability issues were a problem, but man, those supermotos, those race versions especially that are really high strung, small gas tanks, 1.2 gallon gas tank, 1 quart of oil, stupid horsepower, super lightweight, and things would just wheelie everywhere. And it was the most fun. It was like a bicycle with 60 horsepower. I remember I was ripping through there one day coming back towards the store, and I come around into what I call Stonewall. It's the turn that has the pull off with the stone wall there, basically. Right before you get to it, if you're going towards the store, there's like this left-hander, and then the road kind of drops down. And as you come out of it, if you time it just right, get on the power and go from a lean to going straight, the compression of the suspension will make the bike sort of stand up. And as I came out of that turn, looking at Stonewall, there was a white SUV coming up the road. And I knew it was clear. You know, I'd already come from the state line. I knew there was no police or anything. And so as I come around the turn, I see that car, and I was like, well, he's just going to get a show. And I stood that bike up, that Husqvarna, and I walked it down through there. And as he went by, I just saw the green stripe down the side, said Park Ranger. And I was like, fuck. So I just drove straight home. I didn't even stop at the store. I was just like, well, I'm out. And I just kept driving. What about you, though? Okay, so your favorite bike. Did you not think that the 450 was probably the most fun the most fun bike you ever rode? I've enjoyed riding a few of the rental bikes that we got to with Wolf Creek Rentals, and the Nikon and everything is fun, but it's kind of a heavy bike. Paige says, what about the time Daryl and Kamal mooned us on a night run? I wouldn't know anything about that. What are you talking about? So, we all ran out to the road. And
well, this is after the Women's Sport Bike Rally. And, you know, Paige was going to ride up with me when we had the Mini Cooper. And she's like, you know, can my friend Sarah go? And I'm like, sure, you know, as long as, you know, she doesn't mind riding in the back and isn't going to, like, get sick in
now,
the
which
car.
Sarah was this?
Sarah Merrill.
Yeah. This was Sarah Merrill.
And, you know, we're bebopping down through there, everything. And some of our friends were staying at campsites. So Daryl and the guys were there. As we approach, all I see is 3 full moons next to the road. And I'm sitting here going, oh, my God, this poor girl, what is she going to think? I mean, Paige already knew, you know, my husband, our friends. She was a friend, you know.
But not that tight, yeah.
But this is the first time Sarah's ever meeting us and getting in the car with us, and I'm like, oh my God, what's this?
Well, what about the time that Jacob hitchhiked? Should we tell them about that?
Yeah. Oh God. Does Jacob want us to tell us about that?
He's not in here, so we can tell it. So our friend Jacob, we were hanging out again at night at the what we call campsite. So that's down near Gravity Cavity, mile marker 3. Everybody was hanging out, and I was just like, I'm gonna go make a run on my motorcycle. So I took off my bike. It was like 2:00 in the morning or whatever.
Went to
the overlook, and I turned around. I was coming back. It was kind of chilly, and you know I'm riding back on my sport bike. As I come around, getting close to Parsons Branch and everything, I come around and turn. This guy runs across the road in the middle of the night naked, and as he runs across, I realize this is my friend Jacob. He's had her run him up there, drop him off, and then go back and wait while I come by, and he runs across the road in front of me. I got laughing so hard it fogged up my visor. I had to like flip my visor up and keep from wrecking, basically. But that's not the best part of the story. The best part of the story is this guy thinks it's going to be cute when they come back to pick him up to stand on the side of the road with his pants down and his thumb out, hitching a ride. So as they approach him, the headlights are coming towards him. He stands on the
middle of the night.
Yeah, 2 in the morning. Headlights are coming. He's standing on the side of the road, putting his thumb out. Car goes by. It wasn't her. It was some other car. And so these people, whoever it was, have this story of going through this damn road at 2 in the morning, and some guy standing there with no clothes on and his thumb out, hitching a ride. And they're just like, what the hell? Kept on going, of course. And then Lori shows up and he realizes,
I was between 2 cars. I was number 2 in this lineup. And you know, the first car goes by and I realize what's going on. I'm like, oh, shit. And then, you know, he's like, and I was like, quick, there's another car behind me. So he just like reaches down, grabs pants, just bails in the car.
Yeah. And that same guy was kind of made famous by doing a night run with nothing on but gloves and boots and a helmet to mess with one of our friends as they went back across the Dragon to go home one night. We had just gone eating, and he was on his motorcycle, drove back up, got ahead of our friends in a pickup truck, went down 28, took everything off, and then waited until they went by in the pickup truck to go over to Knoxville and go back home, pulled out and passed them, and then stood up in front of them, showing his butt and everything. And then they wouldn't slow down to let him get turned around. They kept pushing him basically to where he had to like haul ass to get some distance so that he could turn around and come back. He wasn't wearing anything. And we got a picture of him as he went by because he kind of told me what he was doing. So as he went by the store, I had this little janky point and shoot camera and I had a flash. And as he went by, I got that shot and I got a picture of him going by with nothing on but boots and gloves. And we worked that into some videos. When he sold that bike, we made a print of that picture after he got it sold and got the money, and it was sitting there in our friend's shop waiting to be picked up. We put that picture of him on that bike on the seat of the bike for the next person to see. Basically, when you sit down on this bike, there's been balls on that seat. So that's the crazy stories from days past, thanks to our buddy Jacob Hendricks. I didn't say his name out loud. You didn't hear that. All right. Motorcycle we've had the most fun on, riding the Dragon. We got that one. If you could choose any four-wheeled vehicle to drive the Dragon, what would it be? So getting serious now.
KTM Expo.
KTM Expo would be pretty badass, but they're not legal in the States. Are we going legal or are we going street legal?
It says any four-wheeled vehicle.
Well, that's up there. I mean,
any.
We've had that race car out there. That wasn't us, but that Formula 600 car was pretty scary fast. That thing, I couldn't even get close to the limits. It was insane.
I never drove.
But as far as street legal cars, we've had this discussion with friends and stuff like that before. It's like specifically, if you had to pick one street legal car that you didn't have to modify, like if you bought it new and you just put like, aggressive tires on it, what would you get? Something you wouldn't have to modify, something you could warranty. And there's been a few ideas come up, but I think the one that I lust for, as far as like money no object, maintenance no object, problems, I think that Alfa Romeo 4C would be a badass little car up there. But from a practicality standpoint, I kind of worry about the maintenance and the wear and tear. Mark saying Porsche GT4. That would be my more practical choice, although I don't really care for the GT4 platform other than the new turbo version would probably be cool. But I've driven, and I've got a review coming up, the GT4, and I prefer a turbo setup. I just like that. And I'm not crazy about a stick shift. When you get to the point where you're putting down 300, 400 horsepower, I prefer the PDK, but I like a stick shift in a 200, 300 horsepower platform or below. The stick shift makes it a lot more fun. But as far as warranty no object, yeah, probably something like a Boxster S, a Boxster GTS, Cayman, same models, something like that would be a really fun platform for up there on the Dragon, and it would be reliable and things like that. I worry about the Alfa Romeo's reliability and then the lack of service, departments in this area. Most of the other cars, like the Corvette C8 and stuff like that, are really interesting. Supercars and things like that are cool too, but they're just so wide, and it's hard to have much fun up there when you just feel like you're right in between the lines. Bing, bing, bing. I like a narrower car that has good capabilities. Paige says the Honda Fit. And then Virgin and forever, yeah.
Go.
So what do you think? What would be your favorite car for up there, four-wheeled?
Oh, so do we have to go street legal now?
Well, you already said the KTM Crossbow. Those look pretty cool, but of course we have no experience in them. And for those of you who don't know what that is, go look up. You can Google search KTM XBOW, KTM Crossbow. It's a very short, wide, low race car. Like an Ariel Atom. Ariel Atom would be good too. I don't know. There's something about the Ariel Atom that just doesn't connect with me. But the KTM Crossbow is a really good, sexy, short car. It'd be a lot of fun, I'm sure. Street legal car. Dead air. Come on.
Yeah. Oh,
can't
my
have
God.
silence. Okay, we're moving on.
Yeah. I don't know how to pick up.
So Josh McQuaid asked, what's your favorite section on the Dragon? And then there's a couple of different questions here. So
The dip.
The dip. So you like Gravity Cavity the best?
No, the other dip. Stonewall.
Oh,
no
those
matter,
dips
just
down through there.
just how it loads the suspension, no matter if you're car or bike, just the way you can go in and feel it compress, and it just
so around mile
brings it
marker
out.
1 to 2, there's like three not consecutive. There's 3 dips turns that really compress the suspension.
Yeah.
I like what I call the triple doubles. So around mile marker 5, Shade Tree and all that.
Oh yeah.
Mile marker 5, yeah.
5.
Shade Tree and the next one. There's like these 3 double apex turns that are hard to figure out, but once you figure them out, that was the last thing I figured out really on that road. It was one of the last sections I really nailed, and the reason being it's sort of hard to get it right, but when you do get it right, it feels really cool. And I just love those 3 double apexes that that start with Shade Tree where Kamal shoots a lot. And then going up towards the overlook, there's a long right-hander, and then there's another double apex left. Then there's another right-hander, and another double apex left. And those 3 double apexes either going up or coming down. That's my favorite section. Least favorite section, I don't know. What's your least favorite?
Stuff out near the overlook, I think. Both directions. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like once you get past guardrail, but then I like that blind cresting turn.
After about mile marker 8 to the overlook,
Yeah.
I'd say it's like, yeah, that's kind of chill down area.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's always kind of a cool off anyway. But yeah, the last part, the farthest northern
between 8 and 9, basically.
Half a mile there. Yeah, it just seemed like I don't know. And then past the overlook, I just really don't care for. It doesn't have a rhythm to it. So once you go past the overlook down to the lakes, there's some. It's kind of fun in the car because you can do this crazy hard braking into those turns, and feel the threshold braking. But I don't know, that part past the overlook to the lakes is a reason not many people go down through there. Do you miss the days of Dragon being lesser known or traveled? I don't know. I mean, I try not to be biased as far as the business thing goes. I know, that's going to affect my thought process, but I feel like we get plenty of time to ourselves out there. It's not hard as a local to go find time for yourself and to have it for yourself. You just do it late in the day. Everybody stops riding at like 5, 6 o'clock. Police pretty much leave. The conditions are better, to me, than riding. Even if it's empty in the middle of the day, it tends to be, hot or uncomfortable or bright or whatever, it just doesn't work. And so to me, I like it from 6 to 12, from 6 p.m. to midnight is like my favorite time out there anyway. And I feel like we can do that anytime. Even the busiest Memorial Day, that place is just dead at like 7, 8 o'clock. There's nobody out there. The sun's just gone down. There's still good light. And you can get a couple good hours of riding in. And then the road stays warm. It stays in it's in its prime right at sunset to me because it's a big stone. It stays nice and hot. And to me, that's the best time. I don't care for mornings. I'm just not a morning person anyway. But to me, the road's in its worst in the mornings. It's dewy. It's cold. I don't care for mornings. But yeah, I feel like the busyness of the road hasn't really taken away from my enjoyment of it. And I like being able to hang out with people and friends and things like that. I don't like it when I'm out there just alone or, not many people to hang out with. I followed your trip out west to the parks and stuff. Was there a particular spot you won't forget? Man, that stuff really messed with me. I'm not very bothered by heights. I mean, it makes me feel weird and my stomach, feel weird and things. But man, walking out on some of that stuff at the Grand Canyon, some of those, I don't know what you call them, like little peninsulas that stick out. It still fascinates me that in this uptight, rule-ridden country that they allow people to just walk around that place because that is freaking death. I mean, you are looking at death straight down, no question. And there's no rails. You're free to just walk out there and take your chances. And
there are parts with rails.
Well, there are some with rails.
Yeah. But there's a surprising
you don't have to do that
amount. Yeah, that doesn't.
Most people congregate around where the rails are and they're playing it safe and they're staying behind the rails and everything. We were over there on the sides. We got away from the crowd. And this was before all the COVID stuff. Anyway, it wasn't for that reason. We just, don't care for being around the crowds. And that messing with my head part. And then driving around the park where it was snow, but there was dead trees. It was just such a great time of year. We stumbled into the perfect time of year because there was still snow on the ground and then some highlights, but it wasn't like covered in snow. So that was really cool. Bryce Canyon was awesome. Zion was sort of, I guess I was over expecting things in Zion.
Well, we didn't get to go up the one.
Yeah, we didn't get to go up the main part of Zion because you have to take a shuttle and ride with people. And again, you're in crowds.
And even that time of year, we drove around the lot for half an hour.
Couldn't get a park.
A park to get a shuttle. This was November, like the week before Thanksgiving.
Everything else was dead. We went to the southern rim of the Grand Canyon at the end of the day, and we saw like 6 people. The northern rim was kind of busy, but it wasn't bad. So it was pretty much dead everywhere, but Zion was still crazy packed. And it was cool, but I thought some of the other stuff was just as impressive as that and was way less busy or popular.
I will say getting down into the places to hike and get a closer, like real close look at the area will kind of change your view, because initially I wasn't that impressed with Bryce when Daryl and I went. We just drove in late in the day, sunset now, but I went back in February with my friend Cassie, and we actually did some hiking down into Bryce Canyon and getting in at the base of the hoodoos and everything, and looking up, and it had snowed the couple days before, so we got that nice highlight again, and a whole new appreciation for something that I was a little underwhelmed by. I'm now just blown away by, because I got down in there into the hiking stuff, and I still can't wait to share those pictures.
Yeah, we still got a lot of content from our trip out west that we just haven't put together yet. Shot a lot of video that needs to be edited, and then she went back for that trip and got down in it. I was really impressed with Bryce, but I seemed like I jumped out a little bit more at the pull-offs and stuff that day.
It was
cold. You were cold. Yeah.
It was like 20 degrees.
She wasn't feeling it, so I was jumping out and just like, oh, it's so cool, and then jumping back in. Yeah, it was beautiful out there, and I'm surrounded by beautiful country. I don't take that for granted at all. Anytime we go somewhere, even if it's the Nevada desert, I'm fascinated with any kind of change in terrain.
Yeah, and even my friend Paige can vouch. The first time I saw a cactus when I helped her move across country was it was an eventful time in the truck.
Yeah,
I think I probably took 100 pictures of that cactus on the way by.
That's a cactus! Oh my god! Was that when you were driving the rental truck? And
yeah, it was in the box truck.
So they were driving a box truck across the country, towing a car trailer with a car on it, and can't confirm. And they really didn't have any experience driving, big stuff like that very far. So that was an event in itself, just dealing with the wind storms they got into. I think Paige was sleeping and you were over there sweating bullets.
White knuckled going through New Mexico, going, just keep it in the road. Oh, yeah, it was a high wind time, and it was, I have a real new appreciation for those guys that drive the freight trucks. Yeah.
Well, I'll introduce you guys to our dog. Another one of our dogs. This is Miss Mia.
She doesn't like to be held.
She hates being held. She's cool. She's how old is she now?
Like 10, 11.
She's the vocal one. If you hear any barking in the background in any of these,
or growling,
she's always the one that has to make herself known. Give me a kiss. Good girl. Good girl. She's my dog. She loves me more than her.
Yeah, and I'm the one that begged for this dog. I cried. I even went and bought a little pink collar, going, look, see, we have to get her now. I already bought the collar.
And I bought this collar with the bow on it.
Yeah, he picked that one out.
She's my girl. Good dog. All right. And let's see. Last question. Let's see. What are your plans? Mark, what are your plans for Killboy when you retire? Who might take it over? Man, I don't plan anything. I am terrible about that aspect of business ownership or whatever. I'm 5 minutes out, as you're lucky.
What is it you say you fall as backwards?
Yeah, I just fell backwards into the whole thing. But I think that we will be able to do this without difficulty late in life, because we've got it to the point where I don't have to physically be out there doing a lot, and we can hire people even to do the stuff at home as needed. So I don't know. I don't really have a big retirement plan or anything. We're accumulating assets, but as far as like retirement plans and things like that, that's not something that we're partaking in very much, honestly. So we'll see. I don't know. We got a lot of stuff that we could sell off and things like that, but we need to concentrate more on what to do for retirement. But I don't really want to stop doing this. You know what I'm saying? It's like I can't just not do something. And to me, this is living. If I can't produce content, which doesn't take any real, physical abilities, then I don't see why I couldn't do this for for as long as I'm mentally capable of it. So I don't know. We'll see. But this is what I want to do. I don't want to stop doing it. Any expansion plans. I'm looking right now at our T-shirt situation. I think that we need to be able to offer T-shirts online and to viewers of the videos and things like that. So right now, that's what I'm thinking about doing. I would like to have photographers in more locations around the Southeast and have them in North Georgia and stuff like that, where we could have more reach on our photography. But the difficulty is in the logistics. You're talking about gigs and gigs of data each day, and to get that to us so that we can put it on the store and then fill the orders. It's more complicated than most people realize. So figuring that out is Blood Mountain would be awesome. Again, a lot of these places too, there are restrictions in what you're allowed to do as far as putting up an advertisement or thing like that. We have a pretty convenient relationship with the Park Service where they have specifically told all of us that they're cool with what we do as long as we basically follow 4 guidelines. It's like, don't make a mess, no financial transactions on the side of the road. When I say don't make a mess, I mean it's like, no trash. We actually clean the place up better than it is when we get there, and that's something I pride our guys on, is that we do not leave anything there. We actually pick up stuff that was there when we got there, and that's something that I'm very proud of. But we can't transact any money on the side of the road. We can't put an advertisement on the ground. This is their rules, and I think I'm forgetting one, but we can't put any advertisements on the ground. We're allowed to have them on the easy ups and on the cars, but that's it. We can't go putting signs down the road that says get ready for your photo, things like that. So the Park Service kind of likes what we do because we document what goes through there. And if they need to see a vehicle, see if a vehicle's gone by or anything like that, it's like they're looking for someone that's missing or someone that's broken the law or something like that and run, they know they can go to our website. We pretty much shoot everything that goes through there. So we provide a service for them and we don't cause any problems, and we actually help kind of take care of the place. So we have it pretty good there, but it's hard to do that on every road. You can't necessarily set up and advertise on a lot of roads because they're owned by certain entities or privately owned. And so if you're going to go shoot on those roads, you're just going to be sitting there with no indication of what you're doing it for, and you won't be able to even potentially be where you couldn't tell anybody what you're doing it for if they ask, because it could be a undercover agent or something. What you think? Any plans for expansion? Hire Paige to do our bookkeeping. We'll bring you back, Paige, and you can work for us. But yeah, so if you guys had any other questions, post them up in the chat. But that's our first live stream. I hope it was enjoyable, and we'll work on having more ideas in play for the next ones that will talk about some current affairs, some current news and situations like that. There's some developing news that with the restaurants in the area and the sheriff's department making a release. We'll be watching what happens for the next few days on that. Fontana Village is still an unknown right now. That's the only place in the area where you can host a large, group. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be unfortunate if they can't weather this and get back in business, at least by next year. I'm not sure what's going on with them, but everything else is opening up and they're still shut down over there. It's a ghost town. Their social media and their website's not explaining anything. We don't know what's going on. So that's something that we might talk about too. So yeah, we'll see. And I want to thank you guys again for supporting us. We're going to continue thinking of ways to touch base with you in any form that we can, and keep you kind of updated on everything that's going on here and with our personal lives more, because we typically just didn't share our personal lives very much. I never was encouraged to be on camera, and now with the Patreon thing, it really struck a chord with me. It's not about the income. This is not ever going to touch what we make on selling the photos and things like that. It's more about you went through the trouble to sign up, put in all the information. You know, it wasn't just clicking on subscribe, which I appreciate all of our subscribers, but I don't really follow that. And every person that signs up on Patreon, it puts a smile on my face to know that they went through the trouble to say, yes, I support you and I appreciate what you do. And it's really encouraged me to do stuff like this, push myself a little bit more, get out of my funk, and connect with you guys on a more personal level. And I hope it's something that we can continue doing, because I'm digging this and I'm loving the feeling that I'm getting. I was kind of in a dark place with all of the content, and I wasn't interested in pushing myself any. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing for us and supporting us. Anything you want to add before we sign out?
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah, I see. Thanks for doing this. Yeah, so good to see and hear your voice. Yeah, this is for our friends and family too. My mom, our friends. We don't talk enough, and this is the way for them to feel connected to us too, along with those of you that we don't know that well. We hope that it gives you some idea of our personality and our morality and things like that helps you lift your spirits a little bit more too, knowing that you're friends with people that are like that. And we appreciate you guys a lot. Thank you. So thanks for that. We're going to sign out from this stream. We'll see you next week at 8:00 on Tuesday. Do one again. Yeah. Love y'all. Clicker.